Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator Regan, is it true that the EPA has never obtained formal authorization legislation from Congress?
I'm sorry?
Is it true that the EPA has never obtained formal legislation, authorization legislation from Congress? It's never been authorized by Congress.
EPA is not authorized by Congress?
I'm asking you.
I thought EPA was authorized by Congress.
Well, the EPA is not. The EPA has never been formally authorized by Congress. However, this agency has imposed over $1.3 trillion in regulatory costs since the Biden regime took office. We authorize committees here in Congress to ensure that we have proper oversight and accountability in the functioning of the executive branch. And this process is extremely vital because often we see agencies abuse the separation of powers, creating rules and laws, regulations without consent of Congress. And we appropriate funds to agencies like the EPA and expect these tax dollars and this tax dollar funding to be used in accordance with the legislative priorities and comply with the oversight requirements. So, Mr. Regan, last month, the Supreme Court rightly overturned the Chevron Doctrine, which the EPA relied on to support its very controversial and costly rulemakings. Since your agency has never been authorized by Congress and has since lost most legal standing, does your agency still plan to enable rogue bureaucrats to enact unconstitutional regulations?
I'm not quite sure I follow you. You're saying that...
I'm saying the Chevron Doctrine was overturned by the Supreme Court.
We have all of authority.
I'm saying you've never been authorized. Wait, hold on.
Congress doesn't delegate authority for us to do the regulations and the business and the policy. So since 1970.
So the Chevron Doctrine, where you have created all of these rules under that have been proven to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, has been overruled. So now I'm asking, are your bureaucrats still going to implement these rulemaking processes?
You do know Chevron is not just focused on EPA. So,
but you are. So I'm asking about the EPA, and I'm asking about your rogue bureaucrats that have enacted these unconstitutional regulations. Are you going to repeal them? Are you going to continue to implement them, or are you going to stop altogether since it's been overturned?
Do you understand the ruling?
Do you understand the ruling of the Supreme Court?
I do. And so your question is ill-formed. No.
Will you be repealing?
We're not going to stop.
You're going to unconstitutionally continue with these rulemakings.
We're going to adhere to the Supreme Court and continue to do
which rulemakings are you going to roll back?
We're going to adhere to the Supreme Court and continue to do our work in accordance to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court
So which ones are you going to repeal?
The Supreme Court didn't tell us to repeal anything.
They have been deemed unconstitutional.
No.
Absolutely, they have. This was a huge victory. And, even in our appropriations bill in the House this year, the funding has been reduced by 20%. I would argue that it needs to be reduced by 100%. But in this, it's because of these radical Green New Deal policies that jeopardize domestic energy development and overload America's power grid and raise costs on American consumers and businesses. So with the EPA and these overreaching regulations, do you have any intent on working with the House majority to lower energy costs and produce more reliable and affordable energy?
If you look at our rule, we are producing reliable, affordable, diverse.
I think Americans' wallets would disagree with that. I mean, the Biden administration, if they continue under Obama's administrative policies, this regulatory pace for a full 8 years, the cumulative costs of this administration's rulemakings would exceed $60,000 per household. And as you know, the Biden administration reversed President Trump's successful deregulation by executive order. So the Biden regime is on pace of increasing regulatory costs at a rate of $617 billion per year in just rulemaking that we are seeing is unconstitutional.
It's just shocking. You spend so much time with our regional staff and regional administration in Region 8, and have such productive conversations about how we're doing things for your district and your state, and then you take this microphone and you
I've also seen the coal plants that have been decommissioned in my state.
So 100%, we should not
I've seen the
exist.
energy regulations
It's just-
that have regulated my district into poverty.
You're spending time with my staff
sure.
in
Yeah,
your
of
district.
course I am. I have oversight over your staff, and I want them to
complimenting them,
answer. And I want them
complimenting
to
them.
provide a service for the American people.
Complimenting them
but there
about
are
the
so much.
partnerships.
Yes, there are some things that have been done well, but
But we
not
should be
everything.
100%
when we
removed?
have $617 billion per year in rulemaking, that is absolutely absurd. When you are taking our affordable clean energy and regulating it out of existence and killing these good-paying jobs in my district, yes, I have a problem with that.
Sure, yeah.
My time has expired, and I yield.
Yeah.